pursuing my master's in automotive engineering from University of Windsor, Canada. So I did my undergrad from IP University, Delhi. And just after completing my undergrad, I came to Canada for my master's. So backing on that, I have very less experience in mechanical field. So once I complete my master that is scheduled in April 2021, so I will be starting as a fresher in this field. And in terms of work, I want to pursue a career in design as a design engineer.
And then what's going on? Like, what trouble are you having, or what? Especially like the questions that you have in your with you in regards to, and also like when are you finishing up and so forth.
So yeah,
and most importantly, I want to know about like what the future plans are, what you are thinking, because that's what is more important, I guess.
Okay, so I'm scheduled to complete in April 2021. So 4 months are left for me. And in 4 months, I need to find a job. Like maybe after 4 months, I can find, because for Canada, it's not restricted to find a job in, let's say, 60 or 90 days, as in terms of US. We get 3 years of work permit. So in that, we can find job.
Okay. So you can stay 3 years without a job.
Yeah. We get 3 years of work permit in Canada after completing our master's or postgraduate diploma.
Got it.
So I'm not in rush, to be honest, but thing is, I do want to pursue a career in engineering field itself. And right now, which seems to be a bit hard because of all COVID going on around the world, when whole world is on their knees. It's currently pretty hard to find one. And when I say I am from automotive field, here in Canada, we do have pretty limited opportunity in automotive, because what I see Canada is more of a subsidy to US. US has like 3 big names like GM, Chrysler, and Ford. And all of them do have their plant in Canada, but they are more assembly and what we say, like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 companies are generally more present in Canada. So in terms of that, finding a job in automotive field is kind of difficult for me, and particularly when we are going through COVID. So these are few of my like circumstances which I am going through as of now, that I can say.
Okay. And looking at your questions also, I think your questions mostly is revolving around, if I'm not wrong, about how can I approach a company, how can I find a job and all that, right? This is basically your primary questions, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. So Divyanshu, looking at your case particular and looking at your CV, I have few things that I would say you need to work on, which in my opinion, okay. And then also I can tell you some of the information and how you can get out from that sort of a scenario where you may be falling in a pit hole, okay? So couple of first of all, number one thing that I see is, especially looking at your CV, is your CV is very, very, I would say simple, and I don't see much of a substance from a master's point of view. This CV is good for undergrad. Okay. But you need to work on the CV more. You have made the CV very beautiful. You have colors. You have like I would say a very professional look, if I have to say, right? But in terms of the substance is missing there. You have to understand one thing. You are a master's student, and I say that very often. Your CV as a master's or a PhD student should have more substance into it as compared to a CV from an undergrad. And I'm not saying that you don't have it over here, but you may need to elaborate some of those things. So for example, let me give you an example, okay? You have said project, cause and propagation of automotive tire noise.
Yep.
What it is about. I just by reading those, like literally that have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words actually. I don't understand myself, who is a mechanical engineer, doesn't get an idea what you did there, what was your role, what you did, what was the project about.
Mhm.
So this is not a good CV. A CV has to be something where people get interested and excited about your work, what you did, was your role, what are your achievements, what are your targets, what was the project about. I don't, I literally, I get nothing here. And, looking at, for example, you have written here, masters, for example, in engineering and automotive, right? And you have mentioned the coursework. I mean, you literally have mentioned like 3 or 4 coursework, which is okay. But did you do any thesis work? Did you do any project work? There is no mention of that.
Okay.
All I'm saying, this CV is like, if I have to be very honest with you, a second year undergrad CV. This has to be more elaborated. And some of the things that you have mentioned here, which are very irrelevant. For example, part-time jobs. I don't know whether these are relevant for the jobs you're applying. Nobody is looking at this type of experience. You have mentioned your role in um, as a housekeeper or as a dishwasher or a food delivery. You don't have to mention these things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think these are necessary. This means you're just filling your CV. You have nothing to mention. For example, certificates you have mentioned. This is something that, as an engineering job, I am looking, and I will look for more. What you have done there? You have mentioned NX Unigraphics. I have no idea, sincerely, what does that mean? Elaborate it more. So this CV need to be reworked, if you ask my honest opinion, quite a lot. This is not a good CV at all. You should go look in Google for CV as for a master student, or get some help from CV from even a PhD student. One thing you have to understand is, let's say if you're an undergrad, if your CV is going to look like a master's student, it's good for you. If you are a master's student, if your CV looks like a PhD student CV, it's good for you, but it should not be other way around.
Okay.
So my first advice to you would be is major rework is needed in their CV. This is just a one-page CV. I mean, some of the things, as I said, which are irrelevant for any engineering companies, your interest, your part-time job, just take them out or put it at the end.
Okay.
And even if you're talking about extracurricular project, work experience, elaborate them. This is where they need to see it. Certification. What does that mean? What did you do? What was the level of that certification? What proficiency you get on those certification? If they had some sort of a, satisfaction, good or excellent, any grade associated with that. For example, in your education, you have not mentioned your GPA. This is important. It should be mentioned. So, as I said, your CV requires a major rework. That's number one, first of all.
Okay.
And second thing I would say is, let's talk about, so it looks to me, because your background is in the area of automotive engineering, right from your undergrad to your master's, correct? And you need to then look at the industry. Where is the automotive industry is? What is their situation right now? And as far as my knowledge is concerned, it's not great. Some of those sectors like automotive, civil aerospace, oil and gas are not going through a good time right now. So you need to look at why you are looking at jobs at the place where you will have maximum difficulty in finding a job. And you may be lucky to find a job, but to be honest with you, if you ask me, in last 6 or 7 months since I started this, this work, talking to a student, I have spoken to more people who have lost their job in automotive sector than in any other sectors, to be honest with you. And these are the people who are employed in either automotive companies or OEMs, and subcontracting or whatever. Those are the people who lost their jobs. So I'm not sure what automotive industry is going through right now. So please look at it also. It's very important to have the knowledge when you are applying for the job. Where are the jobs, right? And for you, it's easy right now to look for jobs, and to prepare your skill set to places where there are jobs. Then you graduate, or maybe year after right now. So I think that is my second advice to you is, and you are already talking about that Canada is in mostly Canada, they are like the suppliers or OEMs that make parts or something for these big companies, like GM and Tesla or whatever, right? So you can imagine if these big companies are having problems, what would be the effect to the companies who are already working in these, who are supplying parts to these companies.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my second advice to you. Look somewhere else too. Don't just fix it into looking at automotive companies. Tesla is a different example, because of their business. What they do is this different. And Tesla is the one who has churned down these industries who are now struggling and figuring it out what they would like to do in near future. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. So, for example, there might be a job in GM who are looking to hire people for their electric vehicle plant, but I'm not sure what your skill set is and how you can help them. So, make sure even you are applying to these companies, the jobs, I'm pretty sure you will find jobs in these companies in these particular areas, and how you can help them.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I said, you may be lucky in that you may be able to find a job, but these are the red flags that I saw in your CV and in your application, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, again, this is my opinion. You can take it with a pinch of salt, but the reason I am telling you these things is based on my information and, talking to students like you and people who have lost their jobs or is struggling to find a job. So just, work on those, in my opinion. You will have a better job or a better answer. And that's all I can say. I mean, as I said, these two things are extremely. Your CV, I'm sorry to say, is not a good CV at all. It's not. It's for a master's student. This is not a good CV. Even I don't know. You have talked in your question. You spoke about getting a PR in Canada and all that. But to be honest with you, I don't know how easy to get a PR in Canada based on your CV or something. Because in US, if you have the CV as a master's student, even it's very difficult to find get a PR. But if you have this sort of a CV which doesn't reflect anything, the chances are like almost zero. So I don't know how Canada works in, but in US, I can tell you this is very difficult. But your other question is like, if you can get a PR in Canada and can you find a work in US and all that? I don't have much information on that, to be honest with you. And I don't know anyone who has done that. I know one person actually. When I used to work for Rolls-Royce and LG, there was a guy who used to drive from Toronto and used to work for us as a consultant, but he was a Canadian citizen. So that was one guy I know for sure, but I don't know his visa status. What was the visa and all that? But that guy was extremely brilliant. I mean, he was a PhD graduate from Cambridge, and he was extremely amazing. You have to understand, like, the thing is that there is always be a difficulty, but if you are phenomenal in what you do, no matter what, even if you live in Sudan or in Indonesia or in China or India, people will hire you, right? So, I'm talking about one of those people. This guy was amazing. So again, and also there was a background related to that he used to work for, he was a UK citizen also. So there could be another role that he had. But, as I said, I cannot answer that particular part of it, but I won't put too much value to that. Because, when you will get the PR, when you will have a job, what type of job you will find, that could be, I believe more in what you have a hand in right now. Yeah. So these are.
I'm sorry for that. Sorry
No,
to cut you short. Yeah.
No, that's fine. So I just want to finish this particular part of it, these two things. But then again, I go back to you now. What other questions you have? Yeah.
Yeah. So thing was, for I was only talking about PR in terms of that in Canada. The only positive about Canada, when I see some knowledge about it, so getting a PR is comparatively easier than US. Apart from that, when I look for automotive industry in general, US is maybe fourfold or fivefold, right, bigger than what we have in Canada. So only positive I'm saying like about Canada is getting PR, which is really easy. So that is not my main concern. If I have to say, my main concern was like mainly landing a job in Canada. So yeah, I do appreciate your honesty with my CV, yeah. And I also feel that pretty irrelevant when I add all the part times and interests. But thing was like someone from my university told me to add Canadian experience regardless of what you are doing. I said that is not related to my field at all. But they said no, it's better to have North American experience. That's why on first thing I added this stuff.
Let me tell you, let me tell you one answer to that. I know many students from India who have found a job in Tesla because of they had experience in India working for Tata Motors.
Yeah.
So work is work, doesn't matter, right? The way you make car in India or in Japan or in Korea or in China doesn't change as you work in here. If you have a dishwasher experience in America, that's not going to land you in Tesla. So, it's very simple. I mean, I don't know who was that guy who gave you that stupid advice. But one thing you have to always remember, Divyansh, is anybody, if anybody is giving you an advice, you should process in your brain and think about it, whether that is a right or wrong, because you should have a common sense to say, I don't think this is right, and then believe on it, and then say whether I should do it or not, rather than somebody tells you and you do it. We are not a robot, right?
Correct.
And answer to other question, is about so you're essentially talking about the opportunity here. So one thing you have to understand, why people come to US, not go to Australia or UK or any other country for that matter. I mean, here's the thing: coming to US is not about getting a US citizenship, because the reason people flock to US, because no matter what your experience is, no matter what you do, whether you are a dancer or a poet or an engineer or a literature guy or whatever, you will always find an opportunity in the US. That's the reason people come here, right? So you have to understand, it's not about, so here's the thing, let's say tomorrow if a country X in Europe or in Africa says, hey, come, we will give you a citizenship, and there are no jobs there, what's the point, right? So you have to understand the reason people come to US because of the opportunity pool. The opportunity pool of US is very big, and no matter what you do, what your skill set is, you can always find work. You can always find something. That's why you see people come to America Got Talent, and maybe they are good dancer, they make millions, right? So that's the point here. It's not about, people don't go there where they can say, oh, I will get a citizenship. That's not the goal of the life. Your goal of the life is you want to do what you want, right? And I'm pretty sure many people stay back in India because they can find something they love, right? So that what I'm saying, you need to think in that direction, not like, oh, what if I get a citizenship? My point here is you can find a lot of people who are citizen in US and in Canada and are homeless. What's the point? Right? So your way of thinking need to be changed. It's about why you are there and what you would like to do, why you come so far. It's not to get a citizenship. It's about because you were interested in something and you are to do that, right? So that is very, very important. Not many people think this, like, oh, let's go to Canada or let's go to US, and what, like, why don't you stay back then, right? So make sure you should have that thinking, and because once you have that thinking, then you're going to work towards that, and then you can achieve it. Don't so the goal is here not to get a PR. The goal is what you are interested in, what you want to do. PR and everything comes in. That's not a issue. Yeah, that will come up. The struggle is about what you're interested, what you want to do. So that is all about career.
Yeah.
And as he said, I will reiterate it again and again to you. Your CV is not good at all. This need to be, like, you need to sit down again and make your CV. If this is not a good CV for a master's student. I can see a lot of good things in your CV, but you have not even focused there. Your focus is somewhere else and not even mentioned. Beautification is good, formatting is good, but content is more important. Okay, so focus on the content. And as I said to you, second thing again, whenever you're looking for a job, make sure where are you looking at, what the market is, right? Think of like a businessman, right? So let's say if you are in a shop, in a place, there was this joke like, why you want to sell razor blades in Punjab? Because nobody will buy it, right? Because nobody shaves, they have beards. My point here is you want to look for a job where the jobs are, not where uh, the market is telling you there's going to be a slum, and then you are just chasing it, and then you will say, hey, I couldn't find a job, I'm struggling. And one thing also I would tell you, COVID or not COVID, I have seen the situation where the COVID came in just like you, and a lot of people lost their job, and then now people are recovering. I can tell you one thing for sure is, there are jobs right now. People are recovering. The economy is in the recovering stage, and all those people who have lost their job, most of them have found the jobs, and there are jobs out there, and people are getting jobs. I know many people who were able to find a job and are working now. So don't give that excuse. I think you need to focus somewhere else right now. That's all I can say. Don't say, oh, there's a COVID, I cannot, because trust me, there are a lot of people who lost their job and couldn't find it even before COVID also. Yeah, that's not an excuse. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like totally understand your point. I do.
Yeah. Okay, Divansh, anything else that I can help you with? I hope this conversation really, gives you a different opinion. Just that's what my talking to a student like you, that's what I want to do.
It did, to be honest. Yeah. So like I'll sit down and work on my CV.
Very important.
Yeah.
I can't emphasize this more. Like extremely important.
Yes, I'll do.
Yeah. I think you should sit down and at least a week or 2 weeks. First of all, look out what is a good master CV. And if I have some examples, I can forward you those. But as I said, you can Google it and find it. That's not like a big thing, but do it. Okay.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. And if you have any other questions before we leave, just let me know. Or if you're done, then it's okay.
Yeah, no. So one question which I do have is, so thing is, I'm not planning to stick around Canada for, like, as I mentioned, I'm not planning to stick around Canada for PR or citizenship. Right. Because right now, like at this age, I just want to focus on my career. That's my main part to follow. So thing is, will PhD be a good option if I want to switch to, let's say, Germany or US? But that comes with a drawback is I need to work there, like go there in a university and work, do my PhD for 4 and 5 years. I need to contribute those years. So will that be a good option, seeing my background, which have zero experience, like, or maybe 6 month experience?
So I will say two things on that actually. Number one is, PhD is very different than doing a master's. It is a different beast at all. And I personally feel, talking to you, looking at your CV, you have zero idea what is about, what you're gonna see there. So, and I don't think, as I said, and also, one thing I will also tell you is PhD is about interest. This is not about, okay, can I find a job after PhD? Because you can always find a job after masters. You understand my point? PhD is not about, PhD should not be a ladder of, okay, I'm going to find a job, that's why I do a PhD. You should do a PhD because you are interested in a topic and a research and about it. And I don't think that is the case with you. So I don't advise you right now. Probably you need much more thought about that before you make that particular decision, because it could be a disaster for your career. And there are numerous examples on that, where students just go in and without thinking about why should I do it, and then end up in a much worse situation. I think in your case, you should be more thinking about improving your CV and finding a job where you would be more, what's your interest is as of now. But if you decide to do a PhD, I would say, just first thing first, just go out. And I don't know what topic your interest is right now, because this should have been, as of now, it should have been decided. But find a topic which interests you, or read a research paper and see what you are getting out of it. Are you interested in that? And I don't know which the university where you work in, did you get a chance to work in a professor in a lab, or and work with the professor? Because that is where you get more introduction to research, and what the research is like and so forth. Because PhD is not about passing exam. Otherwise, 4 or 5 years is nothing. I mean, I personally know people who went doing it for 7, 8 years. So, or leaving it in between. So I don't want you to do that mistake. So if you decide to do that, you probably need much more thought first.
Okay.
Because this is not about doing